W7 UHK, Jessica and Everett, checking in. Everett, got your call. QSL, this repeater will be used at the top of the hour for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net for about 1 hour. If anyone needs to use this repeater for a contact, a QSY, or any other priority traffic, please say so now. WU7N. Puget Sound, my name is James. I am Whiskey Uniform 7 November. I'll be net control tonight for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. This net meets on the repeater for the audio channel for about 1 hour starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time. That's west coast of the United States on Wednesday and Saturday evenings. An amateur radio license is welcome. You can either check in to say hello and check out again, or join us for the entire net and in the roundtable conversation. Just let me know which it is. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society net is a group of amateur radio operators who take to the airwaves with fast scan NTSC analog video. You can find more information about us on the ever-helpful internet by searching on Western Washington Amateur Television Society. During this net, you can see the video that we're talking about by looking at the WW7ATS streaming website. Click on Streaming. There's a significant delay between the analog and digital output. The video output can also be viewed directly on YouTube, but please understand we cannot monitor and respond to all comments real time due to the delay. The video is also transmitted on 1.2 gigahertz as an analog signal on the east side here in Bellevue. Tonight was Jessica. That was KF7UHK. My computer's a little slow to come out tonight, so can I have the next check-in, please? K9PQ. In the stack is Bob, K9PQ. Number 3, please.
KD7QKU.
We'll call you number 3 tonight. Next check-in, please.
N7QO.
7QO is number 4 tonight. Next check-in, please.
W7ITL. We're on the Zoom.
7ITL. Thank you very much. Number 5. And Ron, you were saying something there, but I didn't hear what you said. I'm having some computer issues tonight, so that's why I'm asking people to check in on the audio channel.
So I said Bert is with us on Zoom.
Bert, number 6 in the stack. Next check-in, please. Jessica, KF7UHK. Great to hear from you tonight. Go ahead.
Break.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you missed Dave. You doubled with Dave Mann. He's here tonight.
No, you were back with us tonight. Did you want to take the net tonight?
Enhanced tonight and with enhancements, so carry on.
TX. 7 for Dave, and I heard someone else out there.
K7ITX.
8 in the stack tonight. Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other check-ins? Go ahead, KF7UHK.
Jessica up here in Everett. Let's see, let me tell you what I did today. Sylvia had lost her debit card today, and so she had it stopped. And she went down to the bank to go get that fixed, but while we were there, we also picked up her guitar. She has a Fender Telecaster. I just had locking tuners put onto it for Christmas for her. And so we picked that up at Guitar Center. And while we were there, I picked up a little Moog synthesizer, which is mostly knobs, patch cords, and a tiny little keyboard on it. So I've been playing with that today. It was kind of mostly put together, but you had to it was like you had to snap it together. You had to put it into its case. And you had to put a whole bunch of nuts around the patch cord jacks. So I did that today, and it looks like yesterday up at Concrete, it rained a whole lot, and then down in Mount Vernon when I got home with the bus, it was really windy. So and today we had snow crystals in the rain when I was driving around. Sylvia's working tonight again, so I'm only going to be here for about a half hour or so, and then I'll give my 73. But otherwise, that's what's going on up here in Everett. This is KF7UHK.
7UHK, WUS7N in the group. Well, we appreciate any time you can give us for the net tonight. Number 2 in the stack, Bob, K9PQ. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Dave, welcome back, and Bert, good to have you with us. Well, let's see what's been going on here. Well, we had our meeting this morning, and you'll be glad to know, Jim, that I have filled out my check. It's in the envelope, stamped. Just has to go to the post office. So there we go. We're almost to the finish line. I think that's good for starters. I'll send it back to that K9PQ.
Could be more inspiring than your check is in the mail. Number 3, K9, let's see, KD7QKU. Ron, go ahead.
This is Ron, KD7QKU. James, you need to mute your computer, your feedback. There you go, thank you. I would point out that it's 35 degrees here tonight. It's getting cold rather rapidly this evening. And I would tell you that my check is in the mail. Joanne had some birthday cards that she needed to mail out. She's a little bit behind on, so we actually taken it to the post office. That's the only time we got out. We haven't been doing much, so we drove over to the post office and put them. Otherwise, we'd have put them in a blue box, and God only knows when they would have actually got in the mail. But we went to the post office, so anyway, that's taken care of. As far as me, I still feel like crap. I texted with Mike today, my son this evening, and he was feeling the same way. Seems like the ladies have gotten over it pretty good. He pointed out to me that he had been communicating with his brother in Quartzsite, and he's testing positive and feeling about like we do. So it just seems to really be hanging on to me. I was reading on my phone about the COVID vaccine, and apparently the 5th dose, they say, on older people, 70 and older, is almost worse than if they didn't get anything. It affects the T cells and stuff, and it was a big long article, and it said that it actually brought your immunity almost down, and it interrupted your natural immunity or something. I didn't read the article. I just didn't feel like reading it. But so apparently they say there's more research that needs to be done on it. Well, I don't know. I think this may have been my 5th shot. I don't know. It seems like I've had every one they recommended. But anyway, like I say, I'm just going to be here tonight. I'm not going to add much more. Nice to see Dave back and see Bert and hear Jessica. So always fun to see you guys and listen to what you have to say. So anyway, you might just, you can, I guess, kind of leave me out and I'll just listen. KD7QKU back to net.
KU, I have your sort of check-in and monitoring request, sir, and let's go to number 4 in the stack, Jim, N7QO. Go ahead.
N7QO, thank you, Jim. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I would appreciate a link to that article about the COVID booster as well. Wow, that's sorry about that, Ron. Yeah, my wife has had a number of boosters. I had a reaction to the initial boosters. I actually got the initial 2, and then I was told I could not get another mRNA vaccination, and so, but my wife was kind of insistent that I do something, so for a third I got the Johnson & Johnson, but they said you can't ever boost that, so I'm done as far as the doctors are concerned due to some other medical problems, but it sounds like not only might I be done, but I might be done for. I heard other people say something about reactions as well, and some of them don't appear until after the fact, I guess. So I don't know. The jury's still out on this, but whatever we did, and we have to live with it, or what else? Whatever. Sorry, Ron. Hope you feel better. You look good for what that's worth. So that's pleased with that. Yeah, I wound up just doing a bunch of work around the house today, mostly paperwork. Jim, I did write out the check. However, I just had to. I left your address here in the shack, so I just scribbled it down on a note page. So I'll take that and I will address the envelope. So it won't go in the mail until Monday. But it's a work in progress. So thanks for mentioning that it would help you to get them there promptly. And that's what I've got. Thank you very much. Let's see, what else can I say? Oh, it rained really hard here at the house for quite a bit of the day. So that kind of prevented me from doing a couple of things outside that I wanted to. And someone said it's cold. Yeah, I'm showing 36 degrees here at the house, just south of Covington. And it feels chilly out there. The weather guesser, thank you, Jessica. The weather guessers are predicting it's going to be pretty cold later this week. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they said Thursday and Friday. So I have a couple of winter coats which I have not broken out in probably a decade or so. I might have to find one of them before the end of the week. Back to you, Jim, N7QO.
7QO, WU7N in the group. Just as a reminder, we are on the 103.5, I believe it is, or 103, I'm sorry, 103. The fumble was that 103.5 is the PL tone tonight. 103.5. That is only for the nets on Wednesday at 8 p.m. and Saturday at 8 p.m. Also, there is this pretty significant delay because of the setup that we're using. So be sure to stomp on that microphone and count 1 Mississippi before you start. Next up in the rack, Wade. I don't see on the digital side, but are you out there on the audio channel? If so, let's see. That would be. Sorry, mental block. W7ITL, I'm sorry. W7ITL, are you out there?
W7ITL, I am transmitting analog video,
if somebody can try to switch me in. I don't know if it's going to come in very good. I've been having trouble getting my transmitter to line up with the receiver, so I'm pretty weak tonight. Yeah. See, I'm pretty much black and white, I can tell. Tonight, pretty cool. I went ahead and did a couple chores today, and I went to the ham radio club at Tacoma in the morning. I worked on taking the lights down, and I did some work on some of the antenna mounts on the roof. I put some new U-brackets on there, and they were the wrong size, so I put the right ones on today. I adjusted my ham WAN dish, but I think it's worse now, so I might switch it back to the other panel that I was pointed at on East Tiger. Right now I'm pointed at Haystack. Initially I was getting almost 15 megabytes per second, and now I'm down to like 1. So I think there's some wind up there on East Tiger, or my antenna mount is drooping or something. So I'm thinking about replacing the. I got it mounted on a 2-inch PVC pipe. I'm thinking about swapping out with something a little more rigid, maybe a drain pipe or something, and see if I can get it lined up better. After that, I went to the Elks Club, and I watched a friend's band, and it was pretty good. They play a bunch of 70s rock. So I just got back from that. A little tired. Just got done eating, so we'll see how long I last. I may not join us on the next round, but we'll see. This is W7ATS back to net.
W7ITL, WU7N net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Yeah, you're just as a report, you were barely a 1 or a 2. I could just here in Bellevue here see kind of a ghosty black and white image there. So not nearly as good as signal on the analog side as you've had in the past. Next up, Dave, KD7ZYM. Let us know what's going on. Go ahead.
Good evening all. This is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. I'm back a little bit early from my trip in Arizona. Had to get back, sort of an emergency thing with my brother getting his stem cell transplant yesterday. Wanted to be here for support for that. And the stem cell transplant is basically a bone marrow transplant. He was able to get a donor from Germany, and I get a kick out of him. He says his donor has dark hair, dark curly hair, and he says, oh, after this is over, he might be speaking German and have black curly hair, but he's not sure, but he was laughing about that. But anyway, he was suffering from lymphoma, a blood cancer, and he's at the UW hospital, and he had the chemo. He had chemo there and radiation therapy to kill off everything in his blood system cells, and then they do the stem cell transplant plus a blood transfusion or 2, and hopefully he'll be in the hospital now for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks in complete isolation. He's in a bubble, can't have visitors, so we chat on the phone and talk that way, but his wife is able to be with him in his isolation area, so that's pretty good. So hopefully he's in good spirits, and I'm sure he's going to see many good days ahead of him, so that's about it. This is Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City. I'll pass it on.
YM, WU7N. Oh, good news on your brother there. Bert, N7CS. Go ahead.
Okay, can you guys hear me all right? I'm on echoing tonight. Okay, great. I see the thumbs up. Okay, so yeah, I'm just at a hotel in SeaTac, Washington tonight. I've got a really, really early morning flight tomorrow, so I'm just I think I'm gonna have to wake up at like 2:30 or 3 to make my 5 a.m. flight. So just over here, the plan was for my wife just to drop me off here and then head back home. But when we were coming here, we noticed that I-5 northbound was totally shut down in downtown Seattle. There was some protest going on, and they blocked the freeway, and So instead of her just heading right back home, she kind of stayed with me at the hotel here for about 4 hours, waiting for the traffic to die down. So I guess it's, but she just texted me that she made it home like about 10 minutes ago, so I guess we're all good there. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of traveling, as you guys know. Most of it's been cruising, but occasionally I try to, go on land and take a look at some stuff. So let me try to do a screen share right quick. Let's see if this works. Okay, my desktop. Okay, so one of the things I've been doing has been trying to visit all the space shuttles that are still around. So this is a picture of the Endeavour. This was taken a couple of years ago at the California Science Center. It was the first shuttle that I was able to see. Then just a few weeks ago, I went to the Intrepid Museum in New York where they had the Enterprise space shuttle. This was the test shuttle they used for the approach and landing test, the ones that they would drop off the 747 and have it land and everything. Notice this one's very, very clean looking. It's very super clean. The other one I saw was, this was at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is the shuttle Atlantis, so this one actually went into space several times. And you can see it's much dirtier looking from actually going into orbit and coming back to the Earth. So I saw this one maybe a couple months ago. This is the shuttle Discovery that's in the Smithsonian Udall Haven Museum in Washington, D.C. So this is when I went to Washington, D.C. a few months back to go to the White House and other things. I was able to swing by the Smithsonian before I left and check out the Discovery space shuttle was there. Again, just notice how kind of nasty and ugly it is with all the different discolorations from all the reentries. And then when I was in Houston earlier this year, so this is a couple of months ago, I got to see the mock-up shuttle Independence. This is not actually a real shuttle, it's a mock-up, but it's placed on top of the real 747 carrier aircraft that was used to transport the shuttle back and forth between California and Florida, and also to do the landing test. So got to see all those this year, so that was pretty fun. Anyway, this is Bert in SeaTac, Washington on Echolink in 7CS, back to net.
N7CS, thank you very much for those pictures. That is quite a picture collection. I sure do appreciate that. And yeah, I can see why the space shuttles are so dirty. I read something the other day that's the reason why they have the visors on their space chute, is you don't want to be opening up your visor and sucking in all that dirty space air. That's no doubt the reason why. Thank you very much for the pictures. And I'm sorry your life is disrupted by idiots standing on the freeway in the middle of the night. I don't even want to know what the cause is. They automatically go into the I don't care, I don't want to know if you're that stupid. Good news, Dave. I'm glad to hear that your brother's doing much better. That's wonderful news, actually. And Ron, you're supposed to be 100% feeling better by now, improving it by doing sit-ups and push-ups. I don't know what the problem with that schedule is, but feel better soon. We will be standing by. And let's see, also 35 degrees in Tacoma tonight. Okay, I was just telling somebody I didn't think it was going to get below freezing up here, so we'll see if I'm wrong or not. And my Jessica, guitar electrical engineering, sounds pretty impressive. So let's see, next up in the stack, I don't think we've heard from Richard tonight, K7ITX. Tell us what's happening.
I'll just start off wishing Ron good wishes and get well. I know you're struggling with it, and so I'm sorry about that. And Dave, great to see you back. And we're praying for your brother, that's for sure. And Bert, gosh darn, fantastic. Thank you for sharing those pictures with us. So, and I have a little bit of a presentation myself. You know, I've been following the volcanic activity in Iceland, and I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but another fiery event is imminent, and they don't know where. So what I thought I would do, let's see, remember how to share some video stuff. Let's see, okay, see if this is it. So, what we're looking at is a drone shot before it takes off. So we'll help it take off. This is a drone in Iceland, under control and command by Sean Wisely, Woolsey, I guess. He's a geologist in Boise, Idaho, and he has an assistant in Iceland who keeps the drone out of trouble, especially if it gets low on battery power. So I thought it would be kind of fun to show you what it's like to, to go for a drone ride over the lava field. It's we won't do, it's a pretty long event, so forgive me for speeding things up slightly. So here, here's the blackened lava field as the drone, scoots around and stuff. The drone has pretty good camera ability. It can do zoom close-ups and stuff. I think Sean is trying to zero in on a venting gas hole in the lava, so to speak. So that's pretty cool. Let's skip along a little bit more. So yeah, it's pretty expensive. So it's pretty fun, actually. I recommend anybody who's kind of interested. And then they do advertise the ability for anyone, anywhere, to have a drone to their at their convenience. What we're looking at right now, it looks like we're looking at Grindavik, actually, the city. You can see the buildings in the distance, and actually you can see the surf in the very back. And then here is a berm that they've been building to protect the city from the next lava event, assuming that it's not going to erupt in the city itself, because if that were to happen, then, all hope is lost. But it's very, very cool, if you ask me, to, be with Sean when he's flying this drone around. And, God, I just, and then to have my relatives there that can get on their roof during a live event and send us a video to our house. So, as you can see, it's massive. This lava field is new Earth. You're looking at brand new surface of the Earth. That's just 2 or 3 weeks old. It's pretty rare to be able to see anything like this, other than, let's say, Hawaii or other volcanic events. But it's pretty neat to know that decades, centuries from now, my great-great-great-grandchildren will maybe be walking on this someday. Maybe they might go hiking and even go camping on this material, 100 years from now. So anyway, I thought it would be fun to show this to you guys. It's to me, it's very amazing that you can do this from your armchair in the Pacific Northwest and fly a drone around and control the camera. And looks like Sean's having a pretty nice time. He really likes to, I see he's zeroing in on a pretty cool situation. Well, I think he might be actually finding right now, if I remember correctly, I think he's coming in on the last crater where they call it it was one of the last places where they had the, there were just 2 big of Russian scenarios, and I think this is the spot where the last big one was. And it does look like it, wow, that is impressive. Alright, well you guys, I've taken up enough of your time. This is K7ITX, back to net control.
ATX, WW7N, net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Those are some impressive pictures there. Thank you very much. Let's wrap it around to the top. Jessica, I see we're about 30 minutes past the hour. Are you still with us out there? KF7UHK, go ahead.
Be my last round is KF7UHK. First of all, I want to send out my good energies towards Ron to get better, because it's been hanging on to you for a little bit longer than it should, really. Dave, I want to say, if I was like your brother inside that bubble, I'd be asking for things like, pizza and stuff to be delivered to me, because I know that you probably don't get that when you're inside a bubble. So good luck to him too. I just think it's funny that he might have curly hair and be able to speak German, a little bit German. Let's see. I was looking. I just want to say science. Science is we can't live with it. Can't live without it. I was looking. I like to look at rivers, and I go on the internet on my telephone and read about rivers. I can kind of really get into the nitty-gritty of where they start from, where they end up, the elevations, some of the history around them, and the geology. And I was reading about one that was a salmon river, and they talked about a place called Riggins, Idaho. Just north of Riggins, Idaho, there's a thing called the Time Zone Bridge. Never been on it, but and this bridges had to be moved because of landslides and things like that. But this Time Zone Bridge, if you're on one side of the bridge, you're on the Pacific time zone, and if you're on the far side of the bridge, you're on the Mountain time zone. I just think that's so cool. It makes me want to go there and camp out close by and say, look at me, I'm in this time zone, and now I'm in that time zone. So that's all I got from here. If it snows, I'll be up at the house close to my work, because I don't want to commute this far from here up to Mount Vernon. It's just snow on the freeway. It's just a recipe for disaster, as they say. So I'm gonna hang it up here. I'm gonna say 73 to everybody. It's good to hear all your voices. And Bert, you're a man after my heart. Going all these different places, I just love it. It's so cool. So thanks for sharing those things with us. This is KF7UHK.
Hey Jessica, we have your 73. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm going to pause right now and ask for visitors. Anybody who's out there listening who'd like to check in and check out, say hello, see if that antenna works, see how that radio works. This is the place to do it. We really do appreciate the owners and operators letting us use this 2-meter repeater for our audio channel. So don't feel like you have to have video to jump right in, either to say hi or to join the conversation. Visitors, please come now. Heard. Let's go back, wrap around to Bob, K9PQ, up at the north end. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, hello again, and man, I've got a lot of notes now, a lot of things to talk about. First of all, yeah, Ron, get well, get better. Man, it sounds like you're on the mend anyway, but I just hope you feel better real soon. And Dave, my thoughts are with your brother. That's a really tough time, but it's I've got a good feeling, and I'm just hoping for the best outcome for him. The space shuttles, Bert, that is so cool. So many that you've seen. I don't think I've seen one yet. I have to think about that. I don't think so. I did get down to Huntsville, Alabama, and I saw the Saturn V rocket. They didn't have it. They had I believe they had the Saturn 1B actually set up and vertical. The Saturn V was just too big, so it was horizontal and I believe in pieces. But the bottom section with the engines, they had vertical, so you could walk around underneath and look at all of it from below. It was really, really cool. And having lived through all of that, the first man walking on the moon and all that kind of stuff, it was really cool to sort of take a trip down memory lane there. Richard, that's interesting about the fiery event being imminent, and really cool video too. I did not know that there was that they're expecting another eruption, and it's interesting to me that they can predict it at all these days. So I think that's pretty cool. What else do I have? Oh, just a couple of other things. So the time zone bridge is cool. I had an interesting experience once. So when I lived in Chicago, it's at the east end of the central time zone. And a friend of mine was in a rock band, and they were playing a New Year's gig in Michigan, just around the bottom of Lake Michigan on the other side. And so we were there for New Year's, and as we were driving back, we got into the central time zone and got to celebrate New Year's twice. So that was my time zone story. Maybe that's when you want to go, Jessica. It'll be awfully cold at Salmon River at that time of year, but maybe it'd be worth it. I guess that's it for now. So I will send it back, and we'll see if it comes around again. But if not, I'll save my 73 and back to net control. K9PQ.
Next is Jim in Covington, N7QO. Go ahead.
N7QO, thank you, Jim. Well, let's see. Yeah, Jessica, I know you're leaving, so thanks for checking in. We'll catch you next time. And hi to Sylvia, please. Wade, I can't help you with the 1.2. I am receiving a truly lousy picture tonight. The picture is intermittent. It is exclusively black and white. I can see shapes, but, oh, now it's gone. Oh, now it's back. Oh, that looks like me, only because I recognize me. Generally, I'm getting about a P1 picture tonight. I can see shapes, but I can't necessarily identify people, although I just identified me, so I don't know. Anyway. Dave, man, thanks for coming home to support your brother. We'll definitely be praying for him. Wow, I'm not sure, but I doubt that my wife would isolate herself with me for that long a period of time. I don't know. Your brother there, I don't know, it could be worse. He could come out of it craving pretzels and beer. There are worse things that could happen, in my thought, anyway. So we'll pray for him. Dick, the volcano. Wow, lava fields. Cool pictures, cool video. There's something to be said for drones. Bert, thanks for all those pictures. That's really cool. I haven't seen all those shuttles. I know I saw for sure one in one of the museums. I don't remember which one anymore. And I saw one that was on a truck just before it got loaded into a museum somewhere. Maybe it was New York. Anyway, thanks for those pictures. That's pretty cool. Bert, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. I just caught a little bit of the news tonight, and I don't know if anyone heard about that 737 where, I thought I heard them say that the FAA grounded the entire fleet of 737-9 MAX jets. So that is going to, if Alaska alone grounded its fleet, that would screw up a whole bunch of stuff. But if the entire fleet across all airlines is grounded, that could cause problems, even if you are not necessarily scheduled to be on one. So you might want to be a little proactive about checking. Well, it sounds like you're not going to be able to get an earlier flight than you've got. That's my guess is that's the earliest, the first flight of the day. So that puts you in the best possible position for them not to cancel your flight. I'd say that's to your advantage. we'll keep our fingers crossed for you there. Oh, Bob, you're talking about, and Jessica, time zones and all this. Yeah, you don't know how many times I have gone from here to Asia, and when I land there, it's tomorrow, and it's like I miss Christmas, I miss Thanksgiving, and then there have been times that, okay, I never caught a double holiday, but you can come here and land before you left. So, yeah, these time zone crossing things are a little goofy. To be able to play a New Year's in two different states in one evening, that's kind of cool, I think. Anyway, that's all I got. Back to you, Jim, N7QO.
7QO WU7N. Well, thank you for your comments on that. Yes, I wish all the best for Bert. I'm sure he'll probably get out in the morning okay, though. Let's see, next up in the stack is Wade. Wade, are you still on the audio channel with us, and do you need me to switch you? Let me know. I'm not sure if you tried to transmit out there, Wade. W7ITL, I did not hear you. Did you want to try one more time? Wade must be, maybe he's up there moving those antennas around, so we'll catch you on the next rotation perhaps. Bert, N7CS, go ahead.
Okay, I hope I'm transmitting here. But yeah, so yeah, Jim, yeah, I've been following what's going on with the MAX 9 pretty closely. My flight is on Southwest. They only use the MAX 8s. So I think I should be okay there because both my connections are on MAX 8s. So those are still flying. The MAX 9s, Alaska and I think United use a bunch of those. And both, I mean, well, Alaska voluntarily grounded their fleet first, and then about an hour later United voluntarily grounded theirs. And then about an hour after that, the FAA said they grounded everybody. And it's not a full grounding. It's I guess they put out an emergency airworthiness directive saying that they needed to be inspected before they could fly again. So some MAX 9s are already flying, but they estimate it'll take between like 4 and 8 hours to inspect each one. So it'll probably take, I don't know, however long that takes to get them all done. There's like, I think, I forget what, 120 something frames between all the companies that need to be inspected. But yeah, but yeah, so speaking of all the cancellations, so Alaska canceled a ton of flights today. The hotel that I'm at right now, waiting for my flight tomorrow, I checked in, the poor guy at the desk looked like he'd had a really rough day. And he said, yeah, there was only supposed to be 25 people arriving today, but when Alaska started canceling all their flights, we went up to 150 arrivals at the hotel today. So 25 to 150. And it was just the one guy. So because they weren't expecting a lot of people today. So he had a very, very rough day. In addition to all the travelers too. But yeah, I guess that's about it for now. So this is Bert in SeaTac, Washington on Echo Link in 7CS. Back to net.
CS, thank you for that. Wow, 25 to 150. Let's see, on my list here next, after Bert is Dave in Seattle, KD7ZYM. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you for that. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Oh my, with my trips last week, I got from Arizona over to California. And in the commute, by Courtside, which is near the Sand Dunes State Park, there was a group of sand dune buggies. I couldn't believe there were hundreds of them, and they were all being on trailers behind motorhomes. And then as you looked off to the side, there were these little communities of motorhomes that looked like wagon trains of old days when they circled around in a circle and had a campfire in the middle of the circle, and then if you looked over to the sand dune, you saw the buggies going up and down the hills, and that was kind of interesting. And that was another form of automobile racing, I guess. But on my trip back on Thursday night, flying from Arizona to Seattle, the steward, when I got on the plane, finally said, is there anything I can do for your comfort? And I said, yeah, just tell the pilot to look out for those Japanese Coast Guard planes at the end of the runway. And he laughed. So anyway, there was a little humor in that. So anyway, that's what I have to add. This is Dave, KD7ZYM, sending it back.
Dave, thank you very much, KD7ZYM. This is WW7N, Net Control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Well, let's see. Next up on the stack, Richard, man of drone pictures. Go ahead, K7ITX. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to share that with you guys. Dave, I don't know, the dune buggies you saw, the last company, or one of the big company I worked at, one side business we had was building sand rails, which you might think of as a dune buggy. Like a dragster, it's a sand rail. These dune buggies would have big block V8 Chevy Corvette engines, and they would race those. They're very, if they ask me, it's almost like suicide, when you're on a dune, and they have antennas with a little dealy bob up, so, to help someone see you coming, but I don't know, I've heard of some terrible accidents. So, and then on the Max 9, my goodness. I'm really intrigued by the whole process that's going on right now. So if they're doing these inspections, that tells me they know what went wrong. And so that's what's driving me crazy. I want to know what they're inspecting and what are they looking for, what actually went wrong. I mean, the only thing I can think of, because I could see the installation tabs in some of the pictures, they had the bolts, but, you couldn't see the other side. Were they missing the nuts? Or were they missing the welds or the rivets? So that's what my curiosity is. I have to think that if they're doing inspections, that the engineering was okay, but something happened on that particular model that involved poor quality control. And I can understand that, having worked or trained for final assembly at Boeing. There's a lot of hurry up and wait, and sometimes you're just waiting forever for the inspection to occur. It doesn't really surprise me if that a possibility exists that maybe someone first of all, were they supposed to be titanium or stainless steel fasteners? And then if the people that were waiting decided, they took a look and they go, well, the fasteners are there, let's go ahead. I mean, let's skin over this business. But, is that what happened? Because here's the weird part to me. The weird part is, so when you look at the exterior of the plane that had the incident, it's just a perfect sheared opening of the door. And so in my mind, normally they would just, normally in production, without having a door there, they would just have a aluminum skin right over the whole thing, and it would be seamless. So if that's really how the skin was on there, and during decompression, can you imagine if that's really what happened? This is like perfect shearing, and God, there's so many things I want to know right now. How did it shear so perfectly, the opening of the door? That just blows my mind. And then what happened. They must know what happened if they're inspecting planes left and right and let them go flying again. Because they're looking for, I guess, quality control issues that were missed on that accident. So, anyway, maybe I'm saying the obvious, but inquiring minds need to know these things. K7ITX back to net control.
ITX WW7N here. I think what you're referring to is called a plug, P-L-U-G. It's a plug. The trend I've seen over the last 25, 30 years is more and more modularity in everything transportation related. I mean, the Germans, even way back in the 70s, had trains that could just be instantly converted to medical trains, for example, with very little turnaround time. And so I think the idea of a plug is that you have this thing on the side of the airplane. If you ever need a door or an exit, then that's what you're supposed to use. I think, with what's happened with Boeing since, I left, is they're not using enough duct tape on the outside to hold the plug in. They should be using an entire roll, not just little pieces, like the guy that wrote the MCAS software said that was okay. Yeah, you're supposed to use entire pieces of duct tape. Also, they were going to solve their funding of their retirement programs by giving unlimited free rides to all the retirees on 737 MAXs, which I thought was really creative. Well, anyway, I've been saying enough disparaging things for now. I know Jessica's still listening, but do you remember on Deep Space Nine, all the little spaceships were named after famous rivers? Remember that? They all had famous river names. And a lot of them I knew, like the Mississippi, but then they started using famous rivers on the other side of the planet. You'd have to look them up to see, where is that? It's because it was always a giant river, like, the Amazon or something. Anyway, once again, Bert and Richard Hat Tip, thank you very much for the videos and photographs tonight. Minutes left. I saw Jim writing something down there when you mentioned something about that 737 MAX. So I'm going to go out of sequence here and ask Jim, N7QO, did you have a thought on that, on the plugs in the airplanes?
I'm not sure. I'm not that familiar with that particular series. I'm familiar with older 737s-200s and 300s. They've made some changes over the years. Generally, when they refer to a plug door, it means that the door cannot be opened unless you first pull the door in, and then you can twist it and then open it. It looked to me like that might not be a plug door. I actually heard Warren Brown refer to it as a plug door, but I don't know. That's a question which I have in my mind. And another reason it looked like the door just cleanly left the aircraft. So I don't see how, if it were a plug door, it theoretically should not happen. So I don't know. My understanding is that they're still trying to find a problem, and it could be anything. It could be metal fatigue. It could be defective components. It could be poor assembly. It could be an engineering design problem. It could be a lot. Could even be sabotage. They don't know. So they're looking at all of these different aircraft and seeing if anything else looks like a failure may be imminent or may be possible. They could do things like with I know in some of the work that I've done, I've seen bolts that are supposed to have X many notches on them, being case-hardened steel, and we've clamped them down in a vise and just twisted the head right off with a wrench. When the bolts were manufactured, someone copied the hatches on the hack marks on the head of the bolt, but they weren't hardened steel bolts. They're trying to find a problem, maybe aircraft that were assembled by a particular individual, maybe ones that were built on Mondays have problems. Maybe, well, you know, I say that in jest, but I used to work for an aircraft manufacturer for a short period of time, so I don't exactly say that in jest. So they're still looking for a problem, and if they can find something common between the entire fleet, or at least a number of different aircraft, then they have a direction in which to go. They'll know, okay, we could go to the people who manufactured this hardware, these bolts or whatever. It's a mystery right now, as far as I know. It'll probably take them a little while to get it figured out, but they'll get it figured out. In the meanwhile, they're doing an inspection and just looking for anyone to find any reason why this door should not remain in service. And after they collect all this data, they'll assess that and come up with a decision. Back to you, Jim, N7QO.
QO, WW7N, net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Thank you for that. So, appreciate those comments. I see we got about 5 minutes left. Let's make another call for visitors. Anybody out there listening that'd like to check in and out, say hello, please come now.
Connected N7CS.
And go ahead.
Didn't hear the name, we just heard go ahead.
Bob, K9PQ, and thank you very much for letting me know, because I thought I'd pushed the mic button long enough. How is my transmission now?
You're fine now.
Want to go ahead? We got 4 minutes left.
Sorry, again, just heard go ahead. I don't know who.
Okay, Bob, I said you go ahead, but thank you very much. I'm not sure if the problem's at my end. Is everyone hearing the same phenomenon? Nod your head, please. I see a couple shaking heads. Okay, and I see one yes. Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Thank you. Maybe it's on both our ends. I have no idea. Well, Jim, you gave me a lot of things to think about with all of your discussion. Thank you for that analysis. Just some of the inside information, like even just the idea that this inspection is not an inspection for a known problem, but for trying to find the problem, to basic data collection, which would never have occurred to me. You also gave me something to be worried about, that someone would copy the markings on the top of the bolts without actually making the bolts match the markings. That is just awful, I can't believe that. My faith in the hardware industry has just gone down a small notch, I think. And the plug doors, I didn't know what a plug. I didn't know that term, but I had heard many years ago in the olden days before the internet that all jets, all commercial jets, had doors that had to open in first, and then could be opened. And so I just believed what somebody told me, but I would think they should all be that way because of the pressure, so that it wouldn't get blown out. But I'm curious about that. And I thought it was hilarious about, don't fly in a plane built on a Monday or a Friday. They used to say that about cars, don't buy a car built on a Monday or a Friday. So I could see that with planes too. Okay, back to net, K9PQ.
PQ, WU7N. Yeah, Mondays and Fridays for heavy manufacturing, not great days on the calendar. Let's see, there was also, the concept of the plug. I just thought it was just with the trend, because as far as I thought on that 737 MAX series, that plug is just in case the customer wants a door at some later time, and the aircraft might even not be controlled by the same customer. So they're just trying to give it options. Very famous accident in McDonnell Douglas. Some brilliant person decided they would have a door closed from the outside so they could get this, wait for it, a few more pieces of baggage inside. Can't make this up. Not a good design decision. Yes, the ass end of the plane blew off, blew apart. I think one got down to one piece and they identified the problem, but then they said, no, it'll fix itself, it'll go away, and they actually had a fatal accident, and then they decided to fix it. I see it's 1 minute to the top of the hour, so let me open it up to the group here. Does anybody else have something to say? Either click the mic or wave at me. 7ITX, go ahead.
Well, I also heard a report. There's also a report out there that this particular plane had some pressurization issues in the past. So I wonder if the door was leaking. K7ITX, back to net control.
Well, I heard a story from an old-timer that they were delivering some aircraft. I believe the customer was some Japanese customer, and they rolled the aircraft up with great ceremony, and it had just passed its pressurization test, and everyone was happy, and they opened up some doors, and all these rags started falling out where people had stuffed the rags in around the door, meaning with the best of intent to fix that later. But the customer was right there, so someone got the bright idea, you're right here, let's show you, but not realizing what had been done. So that was not a good look back then. Well, anyway, it's 9 o'clock, top of the hour. Does anyone have anything else anywhere for the net tonight? The Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Alrighty then, I'd like to thank the owners and operators for letting us use the OA repeater for our audio channel. We're here on Wednesdays at 8 p.m., that's 2000 hours local time, West Coast, USA. Also Saturday, 8 p.m., 2000 hours local time. And anyone is welcome to join us, either to check in and check out, or to join our roundtable conversation. So with that, after saying thank you very much to the owners and operators for this repeater, I'm going to say good night.